to my channel. Today I'm here to share with y'all some stuff about data tracking and what I've kind of learned throughout my years as an SLPA. We all know keeping track of data can be hard, especially if you don't put the time and effort to make a system that'll work for you. I have found that over the years, I have to kind of mix and match. I don't just use one method, and then I've definitely learned which ones that don't work for me and which ones do. So I'm just here to share all of that with y'all today. The very first method I want to touch on is mailing labels. So when I first heard about this, I was like, wait, will you do what? It doesn't make sense. It's not adding up. But I do know people who have used the mailing address labels. You know what I mean? Those little labels that you put on letters and stuff. I'll put a picture right here. But it's those labels that you put on letters that you're sending out. Those labels are very helpful actually, because they come in sheets, right? When you buy a whole pack of them, they come in sheets. And so what people have done is they'll write down, each student's name or maybe initials for each label. Every student gets one, and it's a quick way to take data. You have this entire page of labels and you're not having to shuffle through paper, not having to do all of that extra shuffling. You're really saving time and just kind of keeping like a clipboard with the labels on there, and you're quickly taking data. I also like it because you have it all in one space. If I have, student number 1 at the very top, student number 2, student number 3 in one group, and I'm watching everybody, I already see the goals that I'm working on, So it's all literally in front of you and you're able to just write it in real fast. Another good thing about the mailing address labels is that you can easily transfer this anywhere you need to. So if for whatever reason you might be taking data on the labels and then you have like a final sheet for the quarter or something that you're going to be entering progress reports or entering Medicaid billing, whatever you got to do, you can easily just take that student and put it to where you need to be. I think this comes in handy because, for example, for me, I don't bill for Medicaid for every student that I see. So it would be handy if I had, all of my labels, and then if at the end of the day I only bill for like 8 of the kids, then I can go in and pull out those 8 labels and I can have it all on one sheet, and it makes it so much easier for me. Another way of taking data is just traditional pen and paper, which is the way I normally take my speech data. I like to really just be kind of hands-on. I like the multitasking. I've mentioned this before, but I like being really into the therapy session and then having to keep them busy, I guess, as I'm taking the time to do my tallies and stuff. I have talked about this before, but I do pluses and then plus circles as my X, or like a negative sign, because I have found that if the students I'm working with see that I'm writing a plus circle and they ask me, hey, what are you doing? Or are you keeping track of me? I don't have to say, oh, that's where you got it wrong. I'm honest and I tell them this is where we had to self-correct, or this is where I needed to help you. And it doesn't look as bad as seeing a negative or an X, because I think that really gets to their head and then they get shy, they're not as confident in speech therapy. So I use just plus and plus circles. But you don't have to do that. You can do tallies. You can go online and find a lot of free data sheets that I can actually link in my description box. You can find a lot on Teachers Pay Teachers. You can even have the students take their own data. If you have enough dry erase boards and you want them to be more interactive or something, then you can ask them, hey, every time you make the W sound instead of an R, I want you to keep track. And then at the end, you collect all of those, and that's their way of taking the data for you. I just find that to be the easiest way for me personally. But another way you can do it is online. So digital data trackers is becoming more popular. I think this has been very popular because of what has happened in 2020. It shocked us all. We all had to change to be online, and that applied to me as well. I had to now provide therapy fully online, and I had all these papers with data that I was like, what am I gonna do? Or how am I supposed to look down from the screen and take data and still be interacting with these kids? So what I found at the time was SLP Toolkit. Now this does require a membership. So if that's not something you're into, then maybe this isn't for you. But there are other websites where you can find, digital planners. And I'm sure there's one where you can find for free through Teachers Pay Teachers. I'll try to link those in the description once again for you all to see. SLP Toolkit is not the only way. You can also use Google Sheets. You can use Excel data sheets. And those are pretty good too. I think this is really good if you're going to be accessing your data from different devices. You know, if you want to use your iPad in speech therapy and then want to just quickly go into another app and enter it all there. I think this is really good for that, because anywhere you have Wi-Fi or have your device with you, you're able to access these data sheets. This is also extremely customizable. You know, if you want to put just each group on one sheet, or every student on one sheet, or alphabetical, whatever you want to do. You can even keep track of like the things that are required for your district, for your job. If they require you to write down the goal that you're working on, if they require you to make a chart, you can do all of these things with these digital data trackers. You know, like I know for Google Sheets, if you want to make a chart, you can insert it and click, you know, on the cells. Are they called cells? You can click on the you can click on the stuff that you need to make the charts, and it's easily right there in your hand. And again, instead of flipping through all these papers and stuff, you have a digital record. You know, you don't have to be going through old binders or going through old folders or something to be looking at their data and how they've progressed. It's literally all digital. Now that we've touched on the data tracking and how to do that just in various ways, let's get into data storage. What I think is the most popular, well, what I see in people using is the binders, and that's what I use as well. I keep all of my data sheets in my binder, and I like this because I can take it from one place to the next and I have everything in there. It's all in one place. I can easily flip through my pages and it's all there. However, I do think you need to take the time to make this system work for you. If you choose to do the binders, you can use dividers for each group. You can do dividers for each school. You can divide them by their goals, whatever works for you, but truly taking the time to sit down, plan out the system, see what you need for the whole year. I think that's what's going to make you successful in whatever you choose. If you choose to do folders, which is something I did my first year in the school setting, I took a lot of time to sit down, make a folder for each student that I was working with at each school. And while it was extremely helpful because I had all of their worksheets, if we did worksheets, I had all of their goals, I had their data, I had everything divided into students' folders. I think this took a lot of time and it worked for the year, but I did not do it again because that was actually the year that we hit the pandemic and stuff. I was like, this was a waste of time. But I mean, it worked at the time. It worked for 1 year and I think it did really, really good. So again, if you're taking the time to set up this system, it will be successful. Lastly, of course, you can keep all of your data and store it online. I find this to be the easiest. While I don't do this anymore, like I said, I do the binders. I do at the end of every quarter, I keep track of the data sheets and I upload them to an electronic file. So if I ever need them, they're on there electronically. Also, don't be afraid to use more than one system. I know it can be scary, you know, if you're taking the time to set it all up and then like 2 weeks later it fails you or something goes wrong and it's not doing as well as you thought it would, or it's not helping you in the way that you thought it would. Don't be afraid to try more than one thing, you know. I actually use 2 different systems right now for my middle school and high schoolers. I do it more digitally. I don't completely do it electronically. I still keep track of it on my pen and paper. But in the moment, like when I'm interacting with the middle schoolers and the high schoolers, I'm not taking the time to look down and keep these tallies or these plus and plus circles. I'm doing it all on my computer because I really like to make them talk amongst themselves and then I'm kind of observing and I'm keeping track of what I need to be. But for elementary, I completely do it all pen and paper. It's just what works. This can vary from person to person. I have heard a lot of people like the mailing address labels and then some that absolutely hate it. Again, I haven't tried that myself, but that's just an example to show you, you know, what works for one person is definitely not always going to work for the next person. Don't be scared to use more than one system and definitely take the time to learn and put in the time to really set up what is going to work for you. I will be linking some free data sheets in the description box, and I'm also going to link the labels for you all if you want to get your hands on them. I hope y'all did find this video helpful. If you did, please make sure to give my video a like and subscribe to my channel. It'll mean so much to me, and I will catch y'all in my next one. Bye.